All right. Look, I thought a solid first day. Obviously, we got a lot of things that we've got to improve on, a lot of things we have to get better at. But I thought for a first day, it was a solid first day. Um, we 90 guys, and all of them, with the exception of Anthony Johnson, was limited. So I thought it was a good start.
Dennis, what are some of the things you want to accomplish first couple of days of camp?
Yeah, I think the first thing you want to do is you want to get out here and see how much retention there is from what we were able to get accomplished in the spring. And I thought overall, it was solid in that area today. A lot of this is kind of the ramp up period, making sure that we're getting guys really in good, that they're really in good shape for the time that we put the pads on and we really start, really practicing. So today was an hour and a half, tomorrow's an hour 45, and we get into a couple hour practices. So it's not until next week that we, really get into the, kind of the grind of training camp. But, the biggest thing in training camp really is there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now. It's pitch black, all right? And guys just need to put their head down, come to work every single day, focus on what they need to get better at. And if you do that and trust in that process, the results come.
You consider the first few days leading up to pads sort of the ramp-up period, and then that's when the grind really starts?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not as physical right now. I mean, we ran around in underwear today with helmets on. We'll do that again tomorrow. Then we put some shells on for the next couple of days, and then we get into some padded practices. So that's when football really begins. But these are important days, and we need to take advantage of them.
What are some of the things you want to see as Paulson and Devo progresses? Like, what are some of the things you want to see him do well this summer?
Yeah, I think Paulson's done a really good job for us. I think he's played really well. I think we got to work with him a little bit at some of the transitions at the top of the route. Some of the balls down the field, I think those are areas that he needs to improve on. He's smart, he's tough, and he's a good worker. So he's got the skill set, he's got the qualities that we look for. There's a couple technique things that we need to get better at, particularly at the top of the route and playing the ball down the field.
What do you want to see from Derek these first couple of days? I know you said he's got a pretty good grasp of the.
Yeah, I think it's just really taking command of the offense, being able to get in the huddle, get the play called, get the guys out of the huddle, get them lined up, execute the proper play, make the right reads, make the right checks, all those kinds of things. That's what we're really looking for, and he's been outstanding thus far in that regard.
Do you envision utilizing maybe Jason Hill this way, going way back with Coach Carmichael on offense, kind of like a Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara, and those type routes? I've noticed sometimes he's getting quick routes on the flat or angle routes.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put him in that category in terms of what we do with him, and I don't want to kind of let everybody know what our plans are in terms of how we want to use him in the passing game. But I do think that he's a guy that we can get more involved in the passing game and do some different stuff with him.
What was it like to have Jimmy Graham back on a practice field for the Saints?
Yeah, it was great. Jimmy is obviously going to be a Saints Hall of Famer. Has been a great player in this league. Was a tremendous player for us before, and it was great to see him back out here. And the great thing about Jimmy is I think he's grown and matured from his time here. He's got a very workmanlike attitude, and like he told me, look, I just want to come in here and contribute in any way that I can. And so he's coming into this thing with the right attitude.
Yeah, when there are no pads, is there anything you can take from the lines? What are some of the things maybe you're looking at there when you're evaluating?
From the
Defensive line, offensive line standpoint.
Yeah, look, I mean, really in this environment, you're really looking more about, feet and hand placement, both on the offensive line and the defensive line. You don't really get the physicality that you're going to get in the pads. I think the hardest thing for the O&D line during this time is, working on your pad level, because when there's no pads on, people tend to play a little bit higher. So there's some bad techniques, bad habits that can get created in that type of environment. So I think we got to pay attention to that.
Dennis, forgive me. In the past, did you always run gases, or was that more like a show of solidarity today at the end of practice?
Yeah, I got challenged. So let's go. Let's compete. So I ran them and did better than some of them. Just so you know.
Who challenged you? Who challenged you?
Lattimore.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran right next to him.
Did you beat him?
No. We'd have had a problem if I'd have beaten him.
That's fair.
Did you talk to him while you were running?
No, I was just trying to breathe.
What did you see that led to the signing of Max Garcia, and we saw him playing a little bit of center today? Is that sort of where?
Yeah, I think that's the plan, is to work him in at center. That was a position that I felt like we were a little bit light at, especially with the loss of Billy Price. So we worked him out. I know he's played some guard, he's played some center before, and so he had a good workout, and he was the guy we thought could add something to us.
First impressions of Trey Turner?
I'd probably have to go in and watch the tape to really evaluate. I mean, there's 22 guys out there on every single play, and there's 3 or 4 groups going, so it'd be hard for me to give you a first impression there.
This time last year, there's constant questions about Mike Thomas's availability. How much of a boost is it for everyone just to have him out there?
Well, I think the boost is that we had everybody available at least for some portion of practice today. I think that's a step in the right direction. Certainly, I don't think anybody's made light of how important we think Mike Thomas is to our football team and what we think he can bring to our football team. I know Mike's been working extremely hard to get himself ready. I thought he looked pretty good out there in what I was able to see. So, I think that's it's a really positive step.
Dennis, was there an emphasis in getting guys on your roster who played a lot of football, like a lot of NFL football? I mean, you look at like receiver core, you got a bunch of guys who have played, started.
Well, look, I think when you're looking at constructing your roster, you have to have a mix of older veteran players, guys that are in that mid-level 3 through 7 years in the league, and then you need some young developmental guys. I mean, because this is a league where it's about acquiring talent and developing talent, and then hopefully being able to keep your own guys, on your roster. So, I think, yes, there's a certain number of guys that we felt like, okay, here's a position that we'd like to add a veteran player to. But then there's also some positions where, we felt like we had some good veteran presence and we wanted to add a little bit of youth to the roster. So I think there's a good mixture of both.
Do you have to see a lot of Jimmy Graham, or is that just something, once you get into the preseason, that you just trust?
Well, I would say this, and I learned this from Sean, with all of these older veteran players, I don't have to see it every day, but at some point I got to see it, So yeah, look, there's going to be a point here in training camp preseason where all these veteran guys, have to be able to show that they can still do it and do it at a high level.
Brought in a number of guys who have spent some time in the past with Garrett and the Raiders. Has he been involved in any of those conversations, or is that just coincidental?
Well, I think some of it's coincidence, but certainly, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, if there's a player that, that we know that's had experience with him, certainly we seek his input on what his thoughts are and if he thinks that player is capable of helping us. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on your defense increasing turnovers this year, forcing turnovers?
My thoughts are we need to take the ball away more. Look, I thought we started, good today, and we had a couple of punch outs. It's interesting because when you go out there to practice, you're looking at both sides as the head coach, and on one side we punch the ball out, and you're excited that we're punching the ball out, but yeah, we got to do a better job of protecting the ball this year too. So there'll be a little bit of give and take, but obviously we got to do a better job overall as a team in that area, turnover takeaway margin.
Since you didn't see anything of Kenbray really, he was kind of on the shelf during off-season, are you watching him more intently, anything and how long before you can maybe, especially in pass protection, trust a rookie running back there?
Well, the second part of your question is hard to answer. I mean, it depends on the player, we're going to give him a lot of reps and give him a lot of opportunity to prove to us that he can do it, both in the run game, in the passing game in terms of a receiver, in the passing game in terms of a protector. Obviously, protection is probably the toughest thing on a rookie running back in terms of understanding where the mic point is and who he's got, and safety rotation can change that. So there's a lot that goes into that. So yeah, look, as we are with all of them, we're going to evaluate all of them, but certainly today would have been the first look we got at him.